So I want to welcome everybody to today's show. Welcome to Founder Files, where we're going to be speaking with some important investors and leaders and redefining the market and building meaningful, insightful businesses. My name is Derek Briggs. I'm the host today. Today we're lucky to have Dr. Casey Bradley, founder Animistic. Is that correct?
Animistic, yep.
Animistic, I'm sorry. I
That's okay.
sometimes stumble on these words here for you. But you may know her from the Sun Swine Group, where she was made waves of swine and food industry through specific innovations, counseling, education. And so she's going to share what she's done and how she's gone to move over into this new venture and what's for the future of the company. Go ahead,
Yeah,
take it
well,
away, Casey.
thank you, Derek, for the
You're welcome.
introduction. As you mentioned, I'm Dr. Casey Bradley. I didn't start out to owning a business. I thought I would consult and have some flexibility for my son, and then nobody told me on how much work it goes into having your own business, even if it's consulting, because it's kind of like a feast or famine, and we've had to evolve a lot over time, but we are my best fit is really product and market development for the animal nutrition and health industries. So we work with all animals, even pets, and we even get into the specialty pets such as reptiles as well. So we'll help actually starting startups on the pet side and all the way up to major corporations on their new product developments, depending on what species or market fit based on my experience and then my partnerships I have on research and development.
So you have a specific team that does research and development, is what you're saying?
Yeah, we have partnerships with
Okay.
producers. Either if it's livestock, we'll work with independent producers and establish trials within their facilities. I've dabbled in having my own cat research facility. Would like to expand that in the coming years as well as we get more and more into the pet space. And then we even have a small prototype lab here that we're building out that we can do some product development, mixing, handling, some shelf stability work to understand how that product's going to react in different product types, or if it was an ingredient, or the shelf stability of that product. For, like I said, startup pet customers, or really up to the large, multinational companies that we work for on different projects.
What do you think are some of the gaps or challenges in architectural or animal science industry that you're trying to solve?
Well, obviously, probably one of our number one problems in animal nutrition or even in agriculture in general is what we'll all say it's the labor force. If we go all the way down to the farm specific, we have labor issues. But then if we look at the animal nutrition space, it's really the next generation of professionals are coming out and they may not have as much hands-on experience or expertise in animal management and the feed industry. And so that's kind of where my passion plays a role of doing a lot of mentoring and outreach that I do also through podcasting and webinars and mentoring programs to help that next generation overcome that and kind of give them my expertise, because if you want to work with animals and you love animals, the number one answer is I want to be a veterinarian. And I think I've proven in my career, and especially now owning my own business, is that the jobs in animal agriculture are endless opportunities, from working directly with the animals to managing multiple facilities and people to doing accounting to working in a laboratory looking at quality assurance to working in a meat processing plant. Is a vast opportunity in our industry, but would say having that next generation of leadership come in, and that's the one challenge I would say. And then also margins. I mean, it's all over the news today. Either you're a crop farmer or you're a livestock farmer, is having the appropriate margins to stay profitable and to pay a fair wage to our employees on top of that. So, we're working in a very lean mentality type industry where profit margins are tight, and we're at the mercy of market conditions, and so that leaves challenges when we look at innovation and the future of where do we go next in our industry.
Okay. So how does your academic and background influence the company's direction?
Well, I have a little bit more than just academic background. So I grew up in animal agriculture, and as I told
Okay.
it, at least from a pig perspective, and I could say even working in dog kennels and things like that, that I'm kind of a unicorn because I have the management experience in large and small facilities, research experience, and then the academics. So my strength is I understand the science, and then with my experience, I have the ability to apply that science, and then the ability to communicate that science to a larger group of shareholders, or from our consumer all the way up to other scientists. So that's where my academics comes into play. But I like to say I think my PhD in hard knocks is a lot more valuable at times than my PhD in animal science.
I think that's probably true. When you go through what we go through in this business, in any business, and trying to get through it and learn all the ins and outs, it's definitely a challenge, and definitely give you more to do that. You were talking a little bit earlier about getting more management in there. Is there just not that many people that have either a background or working with animals, or is it a combination of a few of those things?
It's a combination of a few other things. If we look at rural communities and the change of the loss of, to me, the family farms, we keep losing the number of farms every year. So growing up with a mother or father or grandparent who raised livestock or farmed is becoming less and less. So we're trying to bring in those urban people to our industry. And to me, some people see that as a challenge, but I see that as a unique opportunity because they have a different skill set and they have a different perspective on what we do. So the adage of we're doing it because this is always the way we've done it, I think kind of goes out the window if we look at it as an opportunity and not a roadblock. But I would say that's probably the one challenges. And then obviously, where do we want to live and what kind of lifestyle we want to have, and then wages to go with that. Because unfortunately, especially in livestock agriculture, it's 365. We have some of our farms running 24/7 in the dairy and the swine industries. So when we look at that, even up to where I do work from a feed perspective, you're always on call. Animals always need feed, and they always need care. So when we look at work-life balance and being a driver of young people today, is how do we balance that even in agriculture? So there's a lot of different factors in my mind.
That's pretty exciting to hear that, having to be able to take those people that are potentially, like you said, the unfortunately farm are closing, but be able to take some of those younger people and hopefully train them into this and get them to be successful in it, and you can take some time off.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move over into a transition from the Sunshine Group to Animistic, and what was that kind of process and thought process with that?
So I would say legally, I'm still the Sunswine Group, but eventually Animistic will become a corporation. There was some confusion in the market that I only worked with pigs, but I actually have experience, like I said, in multi-species. So I've been blessed with that either through work experiences or different roles that, I can work with all species. So we decided to combine the name of animal plus optimistic. But in the future, we hope to, if I gave you a 10-year roadmap, that we'd become a C Corp, and then through the Animistic brand, the Sunswine Group would remain ownership in that, and then would go after venture capital to kind of build out some of the different things we want from an animal nutrition perspective, either feed manufacturing capabilities or further internal research and development opportunities that I just don't have today. And so that's kind of where we're forecasting the growth of Animistic in the future is to hopefully become a leader in animal nutrition and health.
Well, definitely your website kind of pushes you to that direction for sure. So it looks really nice, and so looking at it, it was very interesting. So rebranding can be risky. What is the biggest challenges you faced during this process? Has
Well,
there been any?
well, I would say some of my challenges is I probably have lost some of my followers, and unfortunately, the Sunswine group was really built around my personal brand. So this has been my challenge as we move forward as I try to build a team out and have different expertise and services was foundational, the Casey Bradley Company. And it, I put group in there because it was never supposed to just be me. It was supposed to be a group of experts. And then obviously, like I said, we want to grow and, through education, outreach. I have a personal mission of wanting to give back 10% of my revenue. So that is a challenge of I'm a small company. I had a couple employees, and now I'm working with some consultants and stuff of like to really give back the way I want to and build the resources in third world countries that I need to become, at least a $10 million revenue company in the next 5 years. And I can't do that by myself. So I guess that's the challenge of finding the right team members and then finding the right, as I call them, coaches or experts that can help me get to that next level. And, as a small business, cash flow is always a problem. So, I mean, and that in project work, when you start working in projects and you don't own maybe a product portfolio, is, it's like working on the project and then selling the next project to where, traditionally the Sunswine Group was set up to be a service-based company where Animistic hopefully is a mixture yet of service but also of products to help sustain more of our mission and outreach and continuing with agriculture education and global food security.
So what are some of the trends or innovations that you are most excited about over the next few years?
Well, obviously, I think one of the biggest trends that I've been involved with for the last 5 to 8 years in my career, so as I left DSM and started my own company, is the use of modeling and the use of camera vision, and everybody wants to call it AI, but it's really more machine learning and being able to integrate data sets and learn from the data we have. Because if we look in our industry, there's so much data, we just don't use it properly. And that's kind of where I wanted to see the industry going. And I think that's kind of really remarkable of the opportunities I see to learn from our data to help us be better stewards of resources from either the animal or the crops or land perspectives, and also become more efficient with that, but also maybe get back to in these facilities that have had to become larger due to the economics of production, that the people working in the facilities can get back to what they love to do, and that's working with the animals, helping the animals, and with AI technologies, they can help us make us better, but then they get the more time possibly to enjoy the animals and why they just wanted to work with animals on the farm.
Okay. So are there any specific technologies out there you're eyeing right now, or is there just y'all are just trying to figure out what's available, or are you working with somebody, or what is the thought process?
There are a few out there, and off of my top of my head, I would have them all listed out that I've talked to. But
No worries.
BI, so Boham or Ingelham, has gotten the cough one. I think that was the first one that came in to predict maybe disease in the barns through coughing in pigs. I've helped DSM for Manish on their Virax program from the beginning as an employee and now as a consultant. So learning from blood biomarkers. There's Surtac that's got camera vision. There's several companies looking at camera vision, both in cattle and pigs and other species, to weigh those animals, to check for illnesses. And so there's a lot of interesting things going on. We talk about facial recognition in pigs. I think China's kind of leading the way in that a little bit. I still think that's crazy. Facial recognition for a pig, when I know they're unique, but I didn't think that we were going to have them that unique that we could tell the difference. But I think there's a lot of them there. The problem with this technology is today is like I'm the big picture type person, and I can see the opportunities. But as I said, with tight margins, it's really hard for the producers today to see the ROI because it takes infrastructure, so remodeling facilities, and that may take a whole new electrical system in some of our older facilities. Then we still don't have broadband all the way into rural America yet. And so, obviously with Starlink coming on, that's helped, but the government initiatives to get broadband and different things out into rural America has been challenging. And then we get into it even on the discussion, and not just agriculture, but the data farms, right, and the server farms and different things. So there's a lot to be built as we start using that, and we're in a lot of rural populations where that technology has to be implemented. So with challenges, there's always opportunities, and I'll be curious to see who will become kind of the winner. But give you another swine example of the ones that have really developed more of a software, and they're getting into machine learning would be Swine Tech. They developed the tool to really help monitor chores and managements and teams to communicate back together on the south side, and they've really seen some positive performance by using technology. But I think the secret is getting out there and really learning how to use technology to solve the problems instead of fixing the problems. I rather always be a proactive type of manager than a reactive, and so I think that's the next frontier, is really how can we use machine learning with technology, hard tech in the barns and stuff, to really be proactive versus reactive when it comes to animal management.
Yeah, there's so much going through my head while you're talking about all this stuff and all the different technology and everything. And I had a call the other day with the gentleman that does a tennis app, and it tracks on how they hit and everything like that, and spits out all this data that they can know specifically what their issues are and how to fix it and where to work on in different areas. And it's not just one person, it's specific data that's given for that one specific person. And it's just amazing how I could see y'all be using these technologies for these different things to be, very helpful for your like science data, and making things consistently, especially the foods, especially if there's special diets and everything. I think that technology out there is just going to be amazing for y'all eventually, that y'all can have all that together and be very successful. Well, Casey, before we wrap up, is there a piece of advice you'd like to founders to know about staying authentic and while involved in your business?
I would say don't be afraid to fail. I've learned my best lessons of failure, or my best ideas have come out of failure. And I used to be a very risk adverse person in my career, and I would say the last 5 years I've used my business as kind of an experiment station of what do I want to do. And I finally 5 years later have that plan. I've stayed financially feasible, and paid my bills and things. And but everybody's wanting that fast growth, that fast success, and I think sometimes it's okay to have slower growth, as as long as you're still growing and learning, but not to be afraid to fail as well. If an idea doesn't work, that doesn't mean that your business is done. It just means you have to pivot and try something new.
Yep, that is true. It's very good knowledge. What kind of where what kind of people are you looking for? Are you looking for companies? Are you looking for small businesses? Are you looking for farmers? What is your kind of market that you're looking for now in your new role?
Yeah, so our new company, we're looking for the small to medium size pet and animal nutrition. So I put pet in there. They like to take themselves out of the animal part. But we're looking for companies like that to partner with growing their, products, and how we can help them be unique and differentiate themselves from the competition, and from either product forms, ingredients, new technologies, and that also goes to the farmer. So if they're looking for something new and something different, we'll definitely help them troubleshoot. And we tend to work with, on the agriculture front, is I obviously can still go into the integrator offices and have meetings with my colleagues, but we tend to work more on the regenerative agriculture front. So we work with a lot of pasture-based systems and really helping those types of systems thrive because it's a niche market. They have higher margin opportunities, and so that's kind of where we focus on, is helping them maximize their performance of their livestock in that front, and then obviously with the dogs and cats, helping animal welfare and improvement in health and longevity.
Great. Well, Dr. Bradley, thank you for your time and sharing your story with me today, on how to rebrand and how changing the name isn't just refining purpose, it's also on impact. So thank you for your time, and the listeners can find you at where?
.co, so animistic.co.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Bradley.